La 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 la, this is my show. Jingle, jingle. Oh no, somebody took the horn. Jingle, jingle, jingle. Just keep it in anyway, because I'm not paying for a music producer. Jingle, jingle. Here's another toot. Welcome to my show. That is hello everyone and welcome to Podcast WC with me, Jerry Taylor, and producer Paul. It's been a while.
Hello, that has been a while, mate.
How long? A couple of months again?
6-7 months.
Is it? Has it, man?
Maybe.
Because I was pure like, yep, this is it. Season 2. I think we got one episode into it. Stopped. And it's been crazy 6 months.
Aye. Well, I think like your podcast reflects the working class community we're flaky as fucking.
Aye. I'll do it sometimes.
It's like you were sitting in a gaff flat. Here, mate, I'll be around every day. I'm going to be around every day, and then you don't see you for 6 months.
Aye, man. Aye. At least I'm consistent, but so I think everyone knows what this one's going to be about. So we'll kind of go straight into that, and then I want to talk about some AI. Because it's fucking brilliant. It's fascinating.
Aye, mate, it really is.
A few AI things to do. But basically I've just been done recently through the courts for something that happened 2 years ago during lockdown. And I've just been given 200 hours community service all over the papers and all that. So I said, it's just kind of one of those, it's been a life-changing experience and actually for the better, mate. And it sounds mad, but it's genuinely been for the better.
Aye.
I was stuck in a pure rut. I'm doing this podcast WC, and trying to be the kind of an advocate for working class performers or anyone working class. But the whole time was like, I'm trying to be a success in this career and thinking I went as far away from that as possible. So I was being a bit of a hypocrite. And recently, man, I moved back to a scheme and then became homeless. I'm living in a homeless shelter as we speak, and I'm on community service.
Fuck's sake, mate.
Man, about 6-7 months ago, I'm on the stage at the Armadillo producing a show. Fucking time of my life, and it just shows you like that. It can change, man.
Aye, man.
It can change.
You're in a homeless shelter. Like,
I'm in a
right
homeless shelter now, so I lost my flat. It's a wee side story. I was in this flat. It had damp all over the walls. The landlords were fine. They were trying to fix it, but it was like the wall looked like it had disease. So all the way through winter, mate, it was damp. We couldn't dry clothes. The heating was bad enough. Cost of living and all the energy payments. We were paying £30 every 2 days on gas because it was big high flats, there was cracks in the wall, everyone was just disappearing out.
Right.
So the money spent on just the heating, food, everyone fell apart, mate, because I hadn't been working as much. All this shit with the community service and all that hit to the business. So I lost it, mate. I lost the flat and I had to move out, and I had to go into homeless accommodation because I literally had nothing, mate. Absolutely nothing. And I've had to basically, this week, on my 40th birthday, I was in a homeless shelter, man.
Oh, mate.
And I know there'll be some people listening to this genuinely going, haha. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today, because that's one of the things that's really stood out, is the amount of people, when you're on your way down, that still want to put a boot in.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they're the same boots that are sticking out that I'm going to climb back up. You know what I mean? So, and I will. So anyway, this isn't a woe is me. This is just, right, here's what's been happening. And I think I wasn't being honest about it all, and I was always hiding the fact. I'm like, why? I came for the schemes and fucking, do you know what I mean? I've got nothing to be ashamed about. So where do I start? I need to be careful what I say about this because there was somebody else involved, and I've decided not to involve them. So
what did you do back in? Do you mind saying?
It was during lockdown. So I'll go for the start. So during lockdown, every single person that had a business got a bounce back loan from their local council, 10 grand. Every single business. Now, when the first thing came through, the government grant, I couldn't get it because a month before COVID hit, I had started up a new business, limited company, and I didn't have a year's tax return, so I got nothing.
Right.
Because I'd set up a new business, even though I'd proof of my old business. So I didn't get that. So it was tough, and everyone knows what happened during lockdown, losing the house, all that kind of stuff. Split with an ex, which was a good thing anyway. And so everyone, it was bad enough. So I think it was the second lockdown they were giving this bounce back loan. Now I know everyone that had a business in my town got that bounce back loan. And I know some businesses probably get one or two. You know what I mean? And they were all spending it on holidays and clothes and stuff like that. I know, I've seen them do it. Folk were even online talking about it. But I didn't get this loan because I didn't have a sublease in place for the place I was running my youth theatre and stuff. But I did have bank statements to prove that I let this haul. I did have statements to prove, paperwork to prove I'm a business. I am a business. But they gave me nothing. right? So again, I didn't do anything about it. I just went, right, take the hit. And I struggled like everyone did, struggled through lockdown. So there was a person, let's just call him an acquaintance, someone that I knew, all right? And now, first, before I say anything, it all falls on me because it was my decision to go ahead with this, okay? I sent the email at the end to try and get the money. But someone kept convincing me, like, put in a fake lease, right? They'd done it for their business. They got 15 grand, spent it all. They've also got a company in Ayr, what we'll get to. So they kept saying, just do it. And I didn't do it. And they were like, look, I'll sign it. They forged the signatures on it. And then I sent the application in. So I'm at fault. I shouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
But basically one of the main things was forged signatures. And I didn't do that, right? I've also got emails of the person thanking me for taking the hit for these forged signatures that I could have used in court. It had been going for 2 years and my lawyer contacted that person and says, look, will you come clean? And I'm like, not want nothing to do with it. Boom, hung up. Even though that I was getting threatened with prison for this, okay?
Right.
So my lawyer says, look, we can't incriminate this person. We've got the emails, right? We've got that. We know we can trace if it came from their laptop and we can get a handwriting specialist in to see who forged the signatures. If we do that, it could be another year going through the courts. If you just plead guilty, you'll get community service. Now, bearing in mind, I had 2 years of this over my head, mate.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest fucking 2 years of my life was knowing, and we'd go to court, it would get adjourned, it would get re-thinged. And I just went, do you know what? Fuck it. I can't do another year of this, because it was every time I was getting offered a job, I was like, oh, what's going to happen here? Oh, this is going to come out. This is going to come out. So I was the one that phoned. I sent an email to the council and says, look, this is a forged thing. So I didn't get any of the money, right? It was straight away, it was like, right, this is forged, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't get any money. And then it was going for 2 years, and finally went up. And then, like I said, I got 200 hours community service. That was bad enough, right? Because nobody wants that. I didn't get jail, which was because I was really close to getting the jail.
So
mate.
what was it? You were really convicted of, like fraud?
Fraud. So I get convicted of fraud because it was government's money. And mate, you should have seen that judge. Like, there was a couple of folk up before me for dragging somebody off a bus and battering them. All right.
Oh, mate.
Slap the wrist, all this.
Financial crime, mate. Oh, they hate financial crime, mate.
Jesus fucking Christ.
These cunts fucking live by the pound, don't they, man? It's the fucking god.
And the best thing is, mate, we've got this Tory party who's fleecing billions off cunts. Michelle Moan and a thing, but I'm the one that's getting made an example of. So anyway, took the punishment and I got my community service. And then, you know how when a player gives away a penalty? It's bad enough until they've get the penalty, but then the referee red cards them. So a week later, my local paper, which I totally understand why they had to do it. I'm a figure. I'm a local figure in here, if you like. Right. You know what I mean? So they had to print the story the week later. And that's when it all started to, because it was a week, I was like, right, I've got this. And it was tough enough. And then I was walking down the town and one of my pals went, are you all right, mate? I was like, I'm fine. How? And he went, oh, just saw it in your post. I went, oh, fucking hell, man. Right, so that came out. But what really surprised me, man, was, not surprised me, but the folk that revelled in it.
Right.
Like, actually revelled in it. I walk up that town and folk are like, shit, tax fraud and stuff like that. Aye.
Really?
Like, aye, mate, aye.
I mean, that's fucked up, man, because you've had 2 years of having to, you have something like a cloud over your head, right? Which causes, it's like you're saying, every day, every wee move that you try and make, you just think, oh, fuck, this thing. You get, I mean, by the way, you know, we're on Podcast WC, so I'm struggling not to be like, well done for no throwing that other person under the bus, but see, at the same time, I'm also like fucking hell, man, like, should you have to be taking that fucking hit? But, you know, fucking snitches get stitches and all that fucking shit. But we're brought up in an environment that is, you don't grass. So there's a part of the scheme me for the days gone by that's like pure proud of you, but there's also like a rational part of me that's like, no, fuck that. Listen, like, you fucking karma's a bitch, man. And I think, like, fuck that person that's no stood up and been accountable for what they've done, mate, that will come back to them in some way, shape or form, you know. But what I was thinking there is that you finally get over, you get out, you get your community service. It's no ideal, but, you know, it's better than prison. But then you're having to deal with fucking cunts shouting at you in public and a newspaper article. It's like, opening up again, again, you know what I mean? And it's fucked up, man.
I thought it would have broke me. See, when it all came out, and you hear people saying this, I was just glad when it came out. It was like it was a fucking huge relief, mate, because you thought that you might be going to prison every day for 2 fucking years, man. 2 years. Imagine me in prison, mate. Oh,
You're too pretty for prison, mate.
that's my worry. You know what I mean?
Mate.
So the thing that got me though, this same person, right, that also, they got done too. So the
did they?
had their own business. So not only did they forge it on and convince me to do it, which nobody should be able to convince me. I'm a big man, did it myself.
Yeah.
But they actually got the money and they spent that money, 15 grand, right? Now, they've also got a big company in the town, right? They're female, right? Nothing was said in papers. I don't think they're on community service. So what was the difference with me when I didn't even get the money? It was an attempt. They got the money and spent it. And that's the thing with me. And I think, is it a class thing or is it, who knows, man? But I mean, I get made example of.
I would like... And I'm not saying that this is right, but I would like to think because of the work that you've done and who you are, and like you said, you're like a sort of local celebrity, and people know. People are shouting, you know, people like that, be like, oh, that's, imagine saying that about yourself, but see when people recognise you in public and shout at you in public and blah, 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 you know, like you've got some sort of like infamy or fame in the local area, and it's probably because of that, mate. Like putting some random business owner has... you know, swindled COVID grants isn't newsworthy, but I would say, you know, somebody that's involved in the media that's, you know, like you're saying, local fame, it comes down to like how many papers can they sell and how many clicks they're going to get on their website, mate.
Aye, exactly. I mean, I've got some friends in that newspaper and I know, and I still really like them because it's their job, mate. Of course they've got to print that, and I get that. That's why I didn't message any of them or contact them, because they've got to do their job. My issue was just like, what the fuck with this other person and stuff? But then I don't wish that on anyone, because see now, mate, I don't want, the more anger you put out there, like we've said it before, does more damage to the vessel it's carried in than the target that it's aimed at. But for me, it was such a mad time. But I'm at community service now, right? And that was, mate, I was fucking shitting myself for that. But I'll tell you what, I have met some of the nicest boys on that, and do you know what? See the amount of folk that are on community service for daft wee things. I mean, don't get me wrong, you get the odd maddie, right? I need to watch. I think they're a little bit confidentiality. I've never mentioned names of that, but you get the guys that look after you on there. Some are ex-cops, some are ex-army, all that kind of stuff.
Well, like supervisors, like they're on community service, right?
So you go in, man. I get 200 hours community service.
Is that a lot?
Aye, man. Aye. They were going to put me in a tag and all.
Aye, so it's like fucking 6 full working weeks or like
pretty
5 full working
mate,
weeks?
Aye, pretty much.
Aye, that is a lot.
So you can pick what days you do. So I went out there and I was like, oh, what's this going to be like, man? But I've been putting a good team, and do you know what? The first thing that I had to do was we were sent to a certain venue, I'll not say where, and it was to dig out and build a bicycle track, because like I think the BMX competitions are World Championships coming up, so the council were trying to do this. So we went out and dug out this track, mate, the boys over weeks. And then one week we went back, and as we're going back, we see all these kids cycling on it. And they never had that. And they were loving it. I was like, do you know what? I felt quite good about that. Because, you know, I've not done much manual labour in ages. So we got to do that. And then, or they'll send us out to allotments to plant tatties, or there's litter picking, or painting. The thing was, it's brought me right back down to earth, mate, and see the banter. Oh, the banter, man, all the crack and all that. Do you know what I mean? I'd missed that for the army, and that's where my writing came from. My characters came from. So I'm literally been, see, a few months ago I was working for the Gaiety Theatre, and I was teaching these guys that are in the hostels and at the rehab and stuff like that. And now I'm in a homeless hostel with some of these guys that I was just teaching. So I'm a big believer in being sent somewhere for a reason, and I think I had to get back to the bottom, because there's no further down I could go, mate. I'm literally in a homeless hostel. I've got my own room. You share a bathroom, kitchen. You've got workers that will chat your door every few hours to make sure everything's all right. It's grim. There is no getting away from the fact that I have fallen massively from where I was. Some of it my fault, some of it not. I'm not even going to dwell on the fault. all I'm looking at now is I've got a chance now to. I'm off the drink, mate, and the weed. Right, I'm fucking felt better than I felt before, and I've just got to. Now life begins at 40. They say I've got a lot of people that I love, a lot of people that are so important to me. They know who they are, and I'm doing this for all them as well as me. And I'm getting myself to a place where I'm healthier. My brain's better. I'm writing so much better now. I've been writing the Alhambra pantomime for Dunfermline. Just get the gig for that. I've just been offered an audition for Panto on Monday. I've just been offered a house well away from Ayr and Prestwick and all that, because I needed to get away from that tune. Too many exes, pals at exes, people that I've worked with. Just folk that I don't go on with. Folk that hate me, I don't care.
These new places are more like a village and a town, aren't
Aye,
they?
man. Aye. So I'm going to go, so I'm not saying where, but I'm going to go somewhere and it's right on the beach, mate. It's surrounded by hills and I've lucked right out.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something. I've been struggling with, no struggling with, but me with someone I'm very, very close with. Right, I love to bits, is having their struggles as well. So I'm a way to get better for them, and they are for me as well, and doing our own healing process. So it's been tough. So I went a walk down to Green and Castle the other day, and the council had literally phoned me as I was walking down the beach, and they said, "Look, we know it's a tough situation, but you've probably been in this homeless hostel for 3 months at least before you'll get your first offer of a permanent place. So this will be your temporary accommodation just now. It could be a year." And I'm grating on the phone, man. I'm like, "No, I get it. Because I'm doing this whole what's that? It's the Christ thing, the taking my penance. Aye, so because I'm like, right, I've got to take responsibility for this. I'm in control of my life most of the time. I'm here for a reason." So I was greeting away and the woman was like, "I'm so sorry, and I just hate seeing this." I said, "That's fine." I says, I'm fine. I've got a roof over my head. At least I'm no sleeping down the beach.
Where was this? When was this?
This was on Monday, right? This was on Monday.
So it's 3 months to a year on Monday.
3 months to a year on Monday. I walked down the beach, right? And I sat at Green and Castle. And you know I'm a big spiritual guy, mate. I'm really big spiritual. I believe in angels and stuff. I hadn't been recently. And my granny's my go-to. And I went and I sat by Green and Castle and I broke, mate. Away from everyone. I'm not much of a crier these days because I've lost a bit of me and I'm a bit dead inside at certain things and I'm not as emotional. But I sat down that castle away from everyone and I broke and I got it all out and I needed to. And I literally said, "Granny, I fucked it and I just need a fresh start. Please can you give me somewhere in this area in the next few months?" And I asked for a certain area. And on my walk back, I got a phone call. My walk back, bearing in mind I'm just off the phone about an hour to the women in the council. And they went, "A house has just come up in this area."
Fuck off. You
Paul,
kidding?
I swear on my son's life that happened. And it was half an hour to an hour later, they phoned and said, "Do you want to come and view it?" And I went to view it today, mate. And it's special. It's everything I've ever. It's a block of flats, but it's a house inside, basically. You got your upstairs, downstairs, masonettes, is that what you call it?
Right, aye.
So the view is, I can see one of my special places from my view. I don't want to give away where I'm going to be because I don't want anyone knowing. I really don't. This is my place now. I'm going. I'll be walking on the beach. I'm going to get a dug. And I'm going to be that guy that just goes out, walks on the beach, lights some fires, go out my metal detector. And if I'm not doing that, I'm in my flat and I'm writing. Because I'm going to build a life for me and hopefully for my family as well, mate. You know? And that's basically what's been happening.
Wow, mate.
Aye.
Can't believe that story about your granny, man. I mean, that, like,
and I'm not making that
crazy,
up, mate.
man.
I'm not making that up. The exact place. You know what I mean? There could have been 11, 12 places they offered me. Right? But this place, it just kept coming back. That in my head, there was something about this place that just kept kind of drawing me to it. And it's a big thing, mate. I've lived in Ayr and Prestwick all my life. And now I'm about to move about 45 to 50 minutes away. You know what I mean? About an hour away, nearly. And I'm, apart from some of the things I'm having to leave behind, I'm really excited. But the things I'm leaving behind, I'm hoping one day won't be. If that makes sense.
When do you get to move into your flat?
I'll find out in the next couple of days. I mean, I walked in and it's got brand new kitchen, bathroom, because a lot of people say, "Oh, but you've got a business and stuff." I went bust. So the government have been great in this way. They've put me on universal credit as a self-employed person because they knew all my numbers had dipped from the youth theatre, which is again was from people attacking and stuff like that.
Really?
People I've spoken about in the past, but it's fine.
Right,
That'll come back to bite them because now I was I'm starting to, over the past couple of days, I don't know where it's come from, I'm getting more and more members in the youth. I've got a youth theatre show in a couple of weeks and I'm hoping I won't have to be on this universal credit, and once I've got this council house that I'm having to pay towards obviously, but then it'll be mine, and once I've got the work back up and running I'll be paying that and I'm settled, and it's not somewhere that a landlord can sell, because I've had a couple of times my landlords have just sold the flat.
Pulled the rug for underneath your feet, mate. That's brutal, that, isn't it?
Aye, really bad. So but I'm here where I'm now, and you know what, and I've talked about this before, being off the drink and stuff, and I'd always maybe have a couple of beers and that. I've just no been drinking at all, and I actually went out, didn't go out, but my mates were at a pub, and I was just to get to that homeless hostel. We went 6 times in one day. I turned down a pint from mates, because that's the first thing a guy does when he'll take you for a pint. You've no had a good time yet. Tuesday night, Wednesday night.
Right, because I was going to say, it's weird, but when I was talking to somebody about this last week, see when you ask for stuff for the universe, let's just say, right?
Aye.
I like to, because I don't really believe in God or anything like that. But
I'm the same, mate. I don't, but I believe in.
I believe in something. There's a higher power, but I don't. I'm not like a big, white cloak, big bearded guy in the sky type. Right. But when you ask for that and it gives it to you, I often think that then it will challenge you to make sure that you actually deserve it. Like if you're saying, like, Granny, I want to start building something else, that all the good stuff will come, but then obviously all of the, like you're saying, the next day, after getting that phone call about, right, there's a flat, it's like, but here's the pints. And I wonder what, within that circle of karma and the universe and all that sort of, I wonder what would have happened if you went, do you know what, fuck it, I'll have a pint. Maybe you would get a phone call like, the flat's gone, mate. You know what I mean?
I totally believe in that, because this is what I was going to say. So sometimes I was in here and I'm like, I'm off it. I'm this time, right, mate? I'm off it. But I was a believer in that, because I would say to them, I won't drink. My battle with me was the drink, man. It was. And well, it's going to be for the rest of my life. And that's the hardest thing to admit. It's like, all right, it's always going to be a battle. It's not going to be a few months half it and it'll be fine. It's always going to be a battle. So I would always say to my granny, like, I promise you I'll stop drinking. And things would start getting better. And you know what? As it would get better, I go, I'm doing really well. Deserve a drink. And it would, mate, within weeks, everyone would start to spiral. Aye. Not because, like I've said this on record before, it's not when I'm drunk. When I'm drunk, I'm a bit an arrogant cunt. But when I'm hungover, I'm a fucker, I don't want to talk to anyone, I'm a crabbit bastard, I'm not doing my work, I can't write. How can you be funny? Do you know what I mean? When you're anything.
Your brain doesn't work fucking properly when you're hungover, mate. Literally.
Like fuzzy. So that's been tough. So I went, loads of us like, no, I'm not going for a pint, not going for a pint. And they were like, oh, good on you, now I'll get it, we'll come for an iron brew. So I went and met a couple of my mates in a place called the Tea Bar, and they were all getting pissed, and I was just drinking iron brew. But you know what I found? I did enjoy myself a lot, because I wasn't waiting to talk. See, when I'm pissed, I'm waiting to talk. I'm waiting to, not because I'm arrogant or anything, because I want to make folk laugh or I want to be, but then when I look at it, that looks like I'm trying to be the centre of attention. Fucking folk must have got annoyed, do you know what I mean? Like going, like, let yours have a moment. So I just listened to my mates talk, and it was nice. It was fun, I know, because they were getting more pissed, and I was just fucking, you start to see their conversation deteriorate. But I listened and I enjoyed it, and I thought, opens your eyes up to a lot of things. And then what I did, came about 9:45, they were going to another pub. I was like, no, I'm going to go. There was a wee takeaway. Spiced cubes. There's one in Prestwick called Spice Cube. So there's one opened in here now called, I think it's Spicy Cubes or something.
Right, okay.
So I went in there, got a chicken burger and chips, mate. Tanned that and I walked down to this hostel. I went into my bed, fell asleep. Woke up the next day and went, fuck, I can do it. Because I still had a great night, because I was still messaging the next night going, oh, he's all right.
Aye, mate.
Hey, he's rough. I did that whole thing. Haha, he's rough. Because I'm no a drinker. So
I've got a similar experience with Eckies. I used to get fucking 50p Eckies off a door guy in a pub that I knew, right? And he was
Mitsubishi's?
Fuck, mate. Probably at some point. This is like fucking early 2000s, like 20, 21-year-old. And literally like sweeties, like flinging them out in nightclubs, you know what I mean? Any cunt want a pill because you're getting them for 50p. He was giving me the cost. Like, he was a sound guy. He was punting on a door, you know, like a lot of the door guys used to before they started putting the licenses on their arms and stuff like that, which I think is a good thing. But a lot of the door guys used to be drug dealers, as you know. And I'll not name names, but this guy, I knew the guy that owned the pub. This was where my band went and hung about. We were known in the pub, and people like, you know, if you were skint, you get a free bevy. But this guy would.
Let's call him Big Ecky Joe.
Well, I'd be sending so many people his way because we would be getting in on like a Friday and a Saturday night, and we would get in like 10-handed, right. And he would begin me, how many you wanting? But then it was at that deal, as long as he's like, if you bring a couple of people, make sure that you send them to me so that I can sell them for like a $5 or whatever like that. You know the way. So
that was the going rate, was it? Yours at $5?
I think so at the time. I think they were like a $5 a pill. I don't know what they're now, mate. I've not took an egg.
Mate, they're probably about 12p. Because over the years, they dilute. I'm glad I'm knowing that kind of scene now, man.
See now, man? No, mate, they're getting bigger and harder, and the amount of Mandy that's inside an Eki now is fucking wild.
Really? It's just gone the opposite.
Yeah, and I think they're probably, I don't know, probably a $10 a pill or something. Probably doubled in price.
Imagine me in an Eki, mate.
I know, mate. Imagine me in a fucking Eki, mate. Fuck's sake. So I spent like the best part of maybe like 2 years where it was like every night out, you were just, who's getting the pills? Like, and if this guy, I nearly said his name there, what's his name? If this guy wasn't working, or when that guy moved on, it then deferred to somebody else. And I can remember one Saturday night, we used to go to either the garage, ABC, before the ABC, it was Shack. Remember the Shack?
I remember the name, but I never...
Get burnt down. It was like a big church just round the corner.
I know, yeah.
So I remember this Saturday night, whoever it was that was going to get the pills turned up, and they were like that, couldn't get them. There was like a dry spot, and I was like, I'm getting him.
Aye.
Like, there is absolutely no point in me going out. Like, I'm not going to enjoy myself. Fuck this, I'm going up the road, and I went up the road. And I think it was like a week later, I had a word with myself where I was like, what am I doing? I can't even go out and have a night out with my pals anymore without having to take like 5-6 eckies to come up and enjoy myself. And it was the next Saturday, I had a gig in Nice and Sleazy's, and we were going to the ABC, and I said to myself, do you know what? I'm not going to take an eckie. I'm going to go out and see what happens. Mate, what a night I had. Aye. And then I drank a lot, but see, because there was no come down, and you're 21, 22-year-old, the hangovers are very, very manageable.
Aye.
I felt like fresh as a fucking daisy. And then I remember when I was like 29, 30, so about 10 years ago, I did the exact same thing with the bevy. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go out and I'm not going to drink. Up until the point where everybody went to the nightclub, I had a great fucking time. Like you're saying, you start to like, you're looking at people and you're like, they're getting pissed, man. And when you're getting pissed,
you offer them more drink?
No, but
I was going to have another one, boys, because I was wanting to see them getting drunk.
You're round, you can. But I went out to Sleazy's and didn't drink. And then, no. Where were we? We were in Box. That was the Sleazy's, was the pills. We were in Box. I didn't drink. And then I went to ABC and I was there for about 15 minutes and I was like, I need to go, man. This is descending into chaos. See that way where they had transcended for like pub pished to the point where they were like bumping into and spilling drink. And there was every cunt round about you steaming and the chat was shite. And I was like, right, I know why I need to get drunk to go to a fucking nightclub. But I left after like 10 minutes. I woke up the next day and I was like, see, just what you said there. I was like, fuck's sake, man. I just proved to myself that I can go out, have a laugh, see my mates, and I don't need to have, like 4 pints or like 10 Jack and Coke and then get the Jaeger bombs of the tequila and stuff like that. It is a bit of an eye opener, but I've done that twice in my life. Once with eckies and once with alcohol. And it is like, I don't know, man. You just feel good about yourself when you do it.
You do, man. You do. It's my mate Des Dillon speak about a lot on here. He was the one that told me ages ago, I'm going to say this, sat in Greg's, and he says, he read my book, and he says, I'm going to say this once to you as a pal. He says, and I'm never ever going to say it to you again. She's an alcoholic. Remember that? I told you that. And then recently I've been opening back up to him and told him, he's like that. He says, I knew, because I was off it for a while, and then I says, I wasn't. And he went, I knew you weren't. He knew because I wasn't talking about it. Like, so he's basically my sponsor, and this place that I'm getting moved to, I found out they've got 2 AA meetings a week as well, which is good.
So you're going to start going back have you been to the meetings before?
Never went, mate. Pretended.
Right.
I pretended
Said
that
you
some
went.
people said I was going to go to them and all that, and never did. And again, because of my tune, I was like, half the guys that I'll know here will be fucking half the guys that want to do some damage to me at some point. Do you know what I mean? So that put me off, because I know they say, oh no, you leave everything at the door, but you'd go in for blah, I saw such and such and all that. So I want to do it my own way and out the way of everyone else, but I know I need to do it. So Des, he's fucking brilliant, mate. He's been through it all, and he basically said last night, which was a big eye opener, and he's like, without a shadow of a doubt, if you'd have been off the drink 10 years ago, you'd be a millionaire by now. And I believe him, because see, my work has been affected. It took me 8 years to write my first book when it should have taken me 8 weeks, because that's how fast I can write. It took 8 years because I would write a bit, get pissed, and then be so hungover, and then go, I'm too feared to go and look at that again. What have I written?
The self-doubt starts to creep in.
Exactly. And then you would go and read it, go, oh, that's great. So recently it's like, can I write sober? Because I'd always be smoking a joint or this and that. And I'm actually writing better. I'm writing better, because what I'm doing now is I'm structuring it first. But I'd just go down and go, because that's how my brain would go. But now I'm going, I've got that patience to go, right, what do I want to do with this show? I'm going to do a full outline and then write it. So I've started doing that. But I want to talk about this addiction thing, because it's hard. It's really hard to talk about, but it's another thing. Folk that want to get you down, that want to have, I'm open about addiction, and still folk will have a pop at you, you know what I mean? Or he shouldn't be this, he shouldn't be that. There's one thing I've never done. I've never been out my face working with the kids that I work with and that I teach. Never even close. Wouldn't even go in hungover, because I was really thinking about that. And see that youth theatre that I've got, mate, with the parents that are there that have been so supportive, have been absolutely amazing. And those kids, they're my reason for being here, is teaching and teaching them, and to see them going on. I've got so many of these kids, mate, that have gone. And I'm going to say this as well, because I do get a rep as a bit of a bad guy sometimes. I pay for these kids' scholarships sometimes. See if I know their parents can't afford it and they go to pull them out, I'll say, no, keep them in, and I'll take the hit. Every single youth theatre show I've done for 8 years, right? The reason they get their shows is because the money comes out of my pocket. The reason I've been skint for a lot of times is because I go out my way and I pay for it, and I don't ever advertise it. And I'm now, because I'll never ever stand back and take it when people saying about me and my business when it comes to those kids, because if anything, I'm worse off because of how passionate I am about them. I want them to have the best sets, the best costumes. You have to pay for rights for music and all that, and you're not going to bring that money back in off your youth theatre shows. So I take the hit every single year, and I'll continue to do that, man, because I feel like I'm giving them a platform to go, and some of them are off at uni. I've got some down south, some at the colleges, some that are just going into the acting world just now. I've got big Callum that I've been training up. He's now working for me as my assistant director, and he's just been offered a part in Stuart Hayes' The Journey Back. So do you know what I mean? I'm proud of what I do with those guys, and I think a lot of over the past few years, I've started to believe myself some of the criticism and going, I'm a bad guy, but I'm not. And I know I'm not, and I've got to start saying that, or I'm never going to be able to fucking heal. I know my faults and I know where I've fucked up. But see, when it comes to my youth theatre, I have never ever been so passionate and focused and driven when it comes to that, because that's their lives. I don't just run a youth theatre, mate. They're coming to me about being, well, they're non-binary, if they're gay, if they've got problems at home. We're there to help with that. We're here to teach them life lessons first and foremost, and then to express themselves on a stage. So that's kept me going. Those kids, it was my birthday and they'd all made me hand gifts and all that. Celtic cards, you know what I mean? Coloured them all, and even if they're a Rangers fan. And that's kept me going. And that's going to get bigger and bigger. We're starting to get, past few days, I don't know what has happened, we're starting to get more and more numbers. We've got a big show coming up at the Gaiety in 2 weeks, Murder Mystery, the musical that I've written.
Right, okay.
There's like 36 suspects, mate, one killer. And it's been one of the most fun things and it's one of the first things I've written sober. So
amazing.
And that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Class.
And I do this every podcast. Like, where was I going with that? What was I saying? Was that it?
I think that was
pretty much it. Aye.
That was it.
Hipshot Youth Theatre. I love you all.
Beautiful.
So, and it also was a stigma because that was being an addictions. I was at it last night at a book launch for something we started with the Gaiety. It was a writers group, and that's what they brought me in for. And we started a writers group with recovering addicts. And last night was a book launch of and you get this on Amazon, called The Jaggy Bonnet, right? We found this absolutely amazing writer, Cherry, right? Cerebral palsy, recovering heroin addict. She came to it, she'd written half her book. Des helped her out, not helped her out, just helped push forward. She wrote it all, and her book launch was at the Gaiety last night, and it was, mate, and she's talking about, she goes, it's all about her addiction. And Des Dillon says it's the best book, up in the top 10 books he's ever read, and it's the female version of Trainspotting, mate, but better. It's outstanding, right? And she was on that stage last night, and she says, when I get first given the leaflet for this writing group, she was begging on the streets in Ayr. Now she's launching her book, right? And it's going to be a huge seller. The Jaggy Bonnet, absolutely brilliant. And she was saying that the stigma with addiction, she says, just because we're an addict doesn't mean we're bad people. The reason I'm addicted for things is for things that have happened to me in the past. Weed, because I was assaulted in the army, sexually assaulted in the army, started smoking weed, and then it starts to the weed's not enough, so the drink comes. And it's no excuse. I know it's not an excuse, but it is a reason for why it all started. And then I just get into that rut, and for 20 years, that's all I was doing. So to change all that has been really tough. But being at that last night just showed me, it's like, she's so well spoken and everything, but would you have thought that if you passed her, saw her sitting begging on the street?
Of course not,
They don't get the chance, and this is again why Working Class Podcast WC is really important to me. It's about getting that voice out there. And there's so many people. The best stories come from real life.
Of course,
so I'm proud of that as well. Me and Des started that group, and out of it, Cherry's now going to be like a top-selling writer.
Aye, man, I'm going to check that out, mate.
The Jaggy Bonnet.
On Amazon, did you say?
It's on Amazon. Which is Cheryl... God, what's Cheryl's second name? I should know that.
Cheryl Kane.
That's it, Cheryl Kane. Cheryl Kane, the Jaggy Bonnet. Also, if you buy the Jaggy Bonnet, you can then move on and get Me, Myself and Weed, which is another cracking book written by...
So is it on a paperback, £10? It was saying a Kindle edition.
And it's parts of her life, all about dealing with all the adversities and stuff like that.
You'll need to link me up, because I'll... if like you're saying, it's fucking incredible and all that. I'd like to get a copy of Darren McGarvey.
Aye, mate, definitely. I was trying to get him on here for ages. He said he was going to once last May. Never happened.
I could get him.
Could you get him?
Aye, mate.
I think he's too smart for me, but
I'm working with him.
I saw that. Aye. Loki.
Aye, Loki.
Did he used to rap?
Aye, Loki, the Scottish rapper.
I think I met him years ago at a gig in here, and we talked about independence and all that. Did he have a big independence rap?
I'm pretty sure he did. Aye, no, I think that was him.
But he's so... I get jealous of him in a way, because he knows big words, and I don't. So if he comes on my show, though, I use big words.
He's a smart boy. That's for sure. But no, I would like to even just get a copy of the book. I mean, I wouldn't be like suggesting to him, why don't we get Cheryl on?
I'm going to get Cherry on. I'll get her onto this. I'll get her onto this.
I know, 100%. It's I'd get her on.
I'm going to start
anywhere, like any, you know.
She's brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. All the press were there last night, but I'm going to start getting guests in again. I just wanted this one, me and you, just to kind of set the record straight. Is that what they say?
Of course. So what were we going to do?
Fucking, that was deep enough. How long we got left now?
We've got about half an hour.
Right, good, because that's the deep stuff out of the way, right? Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks to anyone that pulled me up in the street this week. There's been some lovely, lovely comments, and I mean that, mate. I didn't realise how popular it was. I look at the views on YouTube, and it's not that big, so maybe Spotify gets more, but there's so many people watching it. And now folk went to go and catch us. Even I put up, I'm going to tell everyone when I'm community service. Obviously, loads of folk are like, do you say it? So now they all started watching it in advance, as if it was going to be like some kind of linear.
Come back and listen to the nonsense.
So they've been watching, so thanks, especially to the person that pulled me up in the street and said those lovely things about it. So it's been great. And all the things about you. So is Paul going to be on it again? You get Paul on?
No, Paul's dead.
Paul's dead.
I'm kidding.
Mate, I couldn't do this with you. Right, wait to get my wee notes. Got notes and everything. Look, even taking notes from my podcast. When would I done that?
Look at this.
I'm a new man.
I need to get fucking mercants doing that, mate. The amount of people just come in, I've not a chance.
Some folk are good though, they can just wing it, can't they? Right, hold on, where's my notes then? I promise you I took notes. There we go. Right, getting done for fraud, done. Community service, done. Newspaper collateral, done. Home was done. AI. Right, so Des Dillon was telling, obviously everyone knows about AI now and the apps and stuff, but every writer at first I think's going, what the fuck? Now AI can write anything for you like I've had it writing some of the most mad things. Me and Des last night, he's like, right, tell it to write a story about a guy for Ayrtown Centre that meets an alien, right? So it wrote a wee story for us, and then it's like a great outline. And it's
and then you can like build on it.
Then you
whatever.
build on it. It can't do humour, which is good. Thank fuck, man.
There's a couple of things, but the last, what was it that I seen last week? 10 days ago, somebody posted on TikTok a song by Drake that was wrote by AI, and it went ultra viral. Like people saying this is the best Drake song since whatever. So literally, like, and then it got took down.
Did it?
Oh aye, the record companies come in. But I listened to an AI written Oasis album, and I'm no shitting you, mate. It is the best Oasis album outside of What's the Story. Definitely, maybe in What's the Story. It's probably their third best album, and it's been written by AI. And I was saying to somebody, when are we gonna get the first band that tours an AI album?
I know someone that's going to be the first AI book. Even the front cover, the lot, I'll not say. But I
think a big comedian should do an AI special. Just ask the AI to write a joke in their style and then go and record it for Netflix or whatever. Just
the
to
humour's
see what it's
passion,
like.
it doesn't know humour.
Right.
So I went like that. Before I was like, right, because I've done this murder mystery, I went, write me a murder mystery musical set in Scotland, a murder mystery set in Scotland. So it did this thing, and it was like very basic, but the opening line was, there's a study, the room was lit dimly, right? So then I was like, right, okay, I'd make it a humorous script. And then it went, the room was set humorously. But
too literal.
On the train on the way up, right, I said to AI, my exact things I typed in.
So what AI are you using?
What's it called?
Chat GD or GP, is it?
Can't mind, hold on. It's a finite. It was on my, I copy and pasted the AI chat.
Like the wee blue logo, is it?
It's got like a wee, let's show man.
AI chat, right? Yeah. Aye.
AI chat. So,
aye, I've got that same one.
Old MacDonald was a writer. AI. That was shit. Right, hold on. AI wrote that. Right. So on the train, I was like, write a poem about producer Paul and Chris Taylor from Podcast WC.
Okay.
Right, you want to read it? I'll read it out to you. So, in a world of podcasts, two names reign supreme. With wisdom and humour, they fulfil the podcast dream. Producer Paul and Chris Taylor, the dynamic duo they are, their insights and banter have taken us quite far. From movies to comics, no topic off the table. Their discussions are thoughtful and often quite stable. They too know their stuff, and it shows every word. Their passion for podcasting is truly absurd. With each episode we get a glimpse of their minds, their knowledge and humour leave us all in a bind. For we can't get enough of what they have to say. We could listen to them all night, and especially all day. Thank you, producer Paul and Chris Taylor, for all that you do, for sharing your passion and humour too. We'll always be loyal to the WC podcasting crew, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
No way, man. That's
Mate,
class.
that was just done in a train in
Fucking
seconds.
Hell, man.
Right, what I want you to do is, I want you to Google the new, is there a horse race on in a minute? Because I want to ask AI, going by the horse racing form, who do you think will win this race?
Right.
And see if we can get it, right?
Live horse.
There must be a horse
racing.
race coming up soon.
Live horse
Got
racing.
to be.
Right. What?
See, my pal's got a new horse called Mayo. Mayonnaise.
Actual?
Mayonnaise. You gonna shut your curtain on me now?
You know like
Paul's got a wee curtain here. Show them. Has this been shown on the podcast yet? Look, fucking Wizard of Oz.
just be like, it's just so like, it's so when I'm editing other people's podcasts, I'm not just looking at the fucking back of my head.
Oh,
right. So let's
right.
have a look. Online sport betting. Right. I'm just trying to get something that's gonna.
I don't know if AI will let you do it because they don't. Do you know they don't do violence?
I had seen that.
Is that why that they've been trained that so they don't turn against us?
Do you know what? Let's just go to racing TV because that's the main guy, isn't it?
Turn the AI against us.
That's the main guy.
What's the main one?
On now, Air Races.
Oh, air. Oh, fuck, that's right. Air. So if there's one we can get while we're still in here to see if we actually can fucking imagine it predicted the winner.
Right, I'm going to go to Air Racecourse. Surely that's going to have a fucking schedule of.
If you got like a, God, it always comes up these pop-ups when you're on AI because it's free. Like, I just can't go over like how mad it is. Like you've seen the photos that it can do as well. You could literally say, AI, paint me a picture of the Smurfs at a BDSM party or something, and it boom, choom,
Really?
straight away.
Crazy. Schedule.
That's-
Right, here
I've
we
not
go.
put that into
Schedule
you.
the next live. Right, accept all. Right.
So Paul's right now. He's looking
For
through.
fuck's sake, how the fuck
these
did I
bits.
get this?
Have you got a betting app?
No.
Nah, see that's the thing. I'm not a gambler either.
Nah, me neither.
Imagine I did that too. Christ.
See, recent TV's got like
I'll tell you what we'll do, right?
live latest results. What's the date today?
It is
The 21st, right? Here we go. 21st, right? We've missed them.
all of them, have we?
Aye, it was 13.15,
When's the big one? Surely.
13.50, and then 14.25.
Oh, right. Well,
Then the Scottish Grand National's tomorrow.
right. What I will ask out of right? Okay.
Right.
Going by form,
Who will win the Scottish
Form.
Grand National?
who will? Yeah. Who? Imagine it come up. Scottish Grand National in 2023. Right, it's in. Going by form, who will win the Scottish Grand National in 2023? I won't be surprised if they come up and go, sorry.
I'm sorry, as an AI language model, I cannot predict future events such as the Scottish Grand National that will be held in 2023. Many factors come into play, including the form of the horses, jockeys, track conditions, and weather. It is best to wait until closer to the date and consult horse racing experts for their insights and predictions.
Translation, we're not getting involved in that shit.
Aye, because like you end up cunts fucking losing their house.
Aye,
on their
exactly.
AI.
Right, why don't we try? Who is the sexiest horse in the Grand National? Sexiest.
Does it say
Sex-
sex stuff?
I don't think so, actually. Who's the sexiest horse? No, that's more like an Alexa thing, isn't it? You're just asking a question.
Let's see. Let's
Let's see what
if
it
it
says.
comes up. Let's see what it says.
Grand National. Who's the sexiest horse at the Grand National? AI, the most brilliant piece of technology ever, and that's my fucking
That's what
question.
you're
isn't
putting
it?
in
AI
it.
language model and programmed to maintain a professional and unbiased tone, and it's not appropriate to provide an answer to that
Sexy
question.
horses is not appropriate for AI.
Sexy horses is not appropriate for AI, and it's actually she was saying I don't want involved in that. Cool. So what we're gonna do is, Paul, tell me what I'm putting in here for AI
Subjects for Scottish comedy podcast.
to discuss Scottish comedy podcast to discuss. Hold on. Oh, podcasts. Fuck's a podcat, right? Okay. Oh, it's
The
po-
quirks and customs of Scottish small towns and villages.
the quirks and customs of Scottish small towns and villages.
Okay.
We're going for that.
Let's
Try
see,
one more.
Let's see one more. He's one more.
Give us a humorous Scottish subject to chat about on a... Oh God, man, I can't talk and type at the same time on a podcast. So,
Scottish weather and its unpredictable nature. How to carry on enjoying the outdoors, even when it's raining sideways.
fair enough. The weather's been cracking, innit?
Okay, aye. The weather's actually been alright recently.
I
hasn't
know,
it?
that was-
the unpredictable nature of Scottish weather.
The unpredictable fucking is. Every cunt talks about that, don't they?
How do you still have fun when it's raining sideways?
How do you have fun when it's raining? It's the best kind of rain. No.
The stuff that's pure gale force wind.
Aye. Oh man, no, I don't want to talk about the weather. You?
Nah. What about the quirks of small Scottish towns?
Small Scottish towns. Aye. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm moving to a small Scottish town now.
Would you think Ayr's a small Scottish? Is
Aye.
that a small town? Is it?
Big man mentality.
Is that what you would call a bigger town in Scotland?
They tried to go for a city. They tried to be a city for so many times, I think. But I think, is it no? You've got no. I think they're trying to get a casino in here, and they're like, no, you can't have a casino unless you're a city.
Right.
So I think they were trying to get city status, not just to get a casino, but fucking hell. Dunfermline's just been made a city. Do you know that?
No.
Aye.
Is it?
Dumphy. Aye, because I had to
Wow.
I was writing panto for them, so I had to put it into the script.
Have you lived in Glasgow?
Never.
Have you lived in a city?
I've lived in... Is Inverness a city?
I think so.
I lived in Inverness because that was one of that was the newest city I think before Dunfermline there, wasn't it?
Aye.
Because when I was in the
That's
army,
right.
I lived up in Fort George.
Oh, really?
Aye.
You know, used to have night suit in Inverness. Like, was there no like a pure famous one? There was like a bar brawl or something like that in Inverness.
Mate, no, I was actually talking about it in the last one. It was a Halloween night out, remember? And do you know something? I was worried about that. And do you know the amount of messages I got for the boys? One of the boys, Dan, it was actually Big Mark that was in the story. He's like, mate, I was listening to that with tears streaming down my face, like the memories that it brought back, like that.
Right.
And I didn't hear for the guy. Remember the guy that we couldn't mention his name? Never heard for them.
Never heard for him.
But the boys for the army, they've been cracking, man. I've got a lot of good pals from there that I still talk to. Some of them, obviously, that I wouldn't. But in my book, I didn't cover a lot of the stuff for the army. But recently, what I've started to find is I'm talking about it more, and I don't know why. I'm talking about my time in the army more. And there's so many great times. There has been. I just focused on all the crap because it was tough. But there's been some absolutely amazing times. There really was. Some laughs. So I've actually said to one of the boys we should get them on because they remember more than me. And I probably kind of talk more of what I was in the army because he's like, no, I'll put them right. Because, mate, see me getting over fences, right? So in Northern Ireland, we'd patrol through Northern Ireland. That was our job. And one of my jobs was I was called the chub carrier.
The chub carrier?
See when I say it out loud, actually. Cutting about with a big chub. So basically it was that. It was basically this big backpack with a massive antenna, right? And one of my first ever jobs in the army, right? Straight into the regiment and go, right, we're going out and exercise. Can't even remember what it was, out in Scotland, somewhere in the middle, in the Highlands or something. And we'd all these scientists with us, right, that would follow groups. And basically, at the time, you didn't know how big this was. We were basically the guinea pigs for GPS, for sat-navs.
Really?
So one group would have a sat-nav, so they went off and they were trailing it. And we going, what is this? Oh, so you might not need maps one day. And everyone's, fuck up, right? But they were out with scientists doing that. I was out with another group because they were testing my thing called the chub. And basically what it does is...
Sorry.
I
know, man. So stupid.
Mate, the heaviest piece of kit, the most awkward, it was like just a big fucking square rectangle metal thing, right? Massive antenna. Now, bear in mind, when you're cutting through Northern Ireland, you're going through fields and under trees and that, and everyone's getting caught. Try to go over fences and this chub thing's falling over the back of me, right? And basically what it did is it would send out a signal in a satellite area. So if anyone tried to detonate a bomb, the chub would cut out that signal so they couldn't detonate their bombs.
Right,
so
okay.
My job was to basically carry that, and it wasn't because I had any kind of skill, it's because I was a mouthy bastard and they went fucking get to him.
Aye,
right?
that weigh a ton.
Aye. Oh mate, it was 30 pound or something like that. But then remember you've got your rifles about 10, 15 pound, you've got your weapon, all that, and your Bergen. No, I didn't have my Bergen because I had my job. But so anytime I would try to go over a fence, it was all barbed wire fence. So my leg would always go like that when you're trying to go over, and then the chub would go over the top of you, and then I would fall over, man. So I was always face first in ditches, man. I mind walking, they would always put me in front and all. So like, well, you walk that way, so I'd be the guy testing whether this field, mate, I just disappeared once into this fucking cycle, right, up to about there, and it was like marsh, and they're all killing, I'm so laughing, and they're like, watch the chub, watch the fucking chub. Aye.
But see, honestly, man, I mean, that's like a measure of the army, isn't it, mate?
Aye, mate.
The human beings are totally disposable, but the tech is not.
Aye, exactly, mate, exactly.
Fucking hell, man.
Totally right,
The chub.
totally right. The chub. So that was my first exercise. I remember, I think I was only in the door a couple of days and like that, right, straight out the regiment, boom. And then when we went to, so it was Fort George, it was like Alcatraz, like I say, and it was like 20 minutes in a taxi just to get into the city.
Right.
It was some good nights out. Bye. It's the kind of making of you, or the breaking of
Heard
you.
somebody said that was there like a clothes shop where like if you were going for like a night out you would go and buy clothes, and it was like you would turn up and you would know I can't remember who it was saying this, and they were like, I walked into a pub and they were like, oh, you a squaddy? And he's like, how did you know? And they pointed and everybody was wearing the same jumper.
Oh, right. I don't think that was me,
was
but
like somebody was like selling, you know, like they'd be selling the jeans and the tops, like,
right.
and they all bought this fucking like jumper for a night out.
I know the boys always wore the Helly Hansen. You know, it wouldn't be for a night out, but you know the Helly Hansen kind of Under Armour? Well, that was cool as fuck, so we were always cutting about in that.
Right.
I know, but I'll get some boys on for the army. They were in, I was only in a couple of years and just went to Northern Ireland, but that was good. Actually, that's a good story. So, going into this homeless accommodation, it's embarrassing, mate. right? And that's not me being a snob. It would be embarrassing for anyone to go, right? Because you feel like, I shouldn't be here taking up their time. I'll go down the beach and sleep. Like, literally, I was thinking, could I live in a cave? I'm not even joking. I was going to go up to that fucking cave next to Sorry Beans. You ever heard of Wee Snib?
No.
Oh, I heard this story about Wee Snib recently as well, who just lived in a cave, gave up his job, 33-year-old, went and lived in a cave for the rest of his life. Fuck the world.
How long did he survive for in a fucking
Till he's
cave?
about 60 odd, died of hypothermia, right enough.
Aye. And where was the cave?
Out by Gurvan way.
Right, so in Scotland, right?
In Scotland.
Right, you
So,
would be Scottish with a name like fucking Snib, eh?
Wee Snib. You heard of the Sonny Bean story?
No.
You never heard of Sonny Bean?
No.
Oh, mate, right. I'll tell it now.
Okay.
So basically, The Hills of Eyes, the film, is all based on Sonny Bean's cave in Gurvan, right? Became folklore, right, this thing. So basically, this guy, Sonny Bean, moved into a cave, right? Bit of a dodgy guy with his wife, blah, blah. Ends up fucking inbred, full family of these fucking crazy folk just living in a cave, right? Who would then...
Who was his wife?
Don't know.
Like his sister, his cousin or something like that, was it?
Lorna Bean. But aye, so it was like a cousin or something, but they...
No name.
They had names.
Who is she to him?
Aye.
She's like a
I
family
think
member.
I'll need to look that bit up, but you can get it on YouTube, right? Watch it.
Right.
It's fucking great. So basically what happened was they all became this inbred family and just lived in a cave, and they would go out and they would kill people and bring them in and eat them. So see when somebody had escaped it and went, and whatever king was in charge at the time, they fucking sent them all down to the cave, and apparently what they found in that cave was horrific. Like think Ed Gein, do you know what I mean? But worse, it was like all bones and meat hanging, all skulls and that, for like 30 years worth of all these people, and all these kids with fucking, they go in and all these kids, bright light and all that with their eyes all over, and that is where the film The Hills of Eyes came. But there's also a story that tries to say that it's a myth, that basically says that the king at the time, whoever it was in England, made this story up to basically put the fear into people about these locals or something, to take power for a power grab. Who knows?
Right.
But there's so many different stories about this
I'll need to
cave.
check
You can
that
go and
out.
visit the cave. You can go and visit
Right, is
Sonny
that like
Bean's
a tourist
cave.
attraction?
A tourist attraction. And apparently Wee Snib's cave's just up the road.
For fuck's sake.
Aye, but like Wee Snib's cave, a cave, apparently you walk in, it was just massive, big cavern. They'd made his own seating and stuff, big fire and all that.
You don't hear about people like that, but there are many different ways that you can live your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's a commune. There's a commune up at Inverness to get the same currency and all that.
What?
To get like whatever, they've bought a bit of land and they've built houses and they grow. They're self-sustainable. They grow their own food. They've got their own like slaughtering.
That's I'd never heard of
And
that.
they trade in whatever money. But aye, there's a commune in between, somewhere up north, but it's definitely near Inverness. It's in Inverness Shire.
Oh, I need to look that up. So anyway, as I was saying, I could have been living in a cave, right?
Right.
But I was in this hostel.
You could have been snub.
It could have been Snib. I know.
Snub.
I wonder if that's Snib the door type thing.
Snib
That
and
wee
snub.
Snib. And apparently as well with him, he didn't like taking anything off people. He just kept himself to himself. So the locals would leave tobacco on window ledges because they would pick it up thinking it's just been left, but they wouldn't ever want to insult him by offering him anything. He just lived off the land. He went out and got his firewood, the driftwood. He would catch rabbits and stuff like that, and he would go and find bottles in the beach and go in and exchange the glass bottles for other stuff that he
Aye, gingies.
Aye.
Like
Mate,
back in the day.
but he had a big job as an accountant, was loaded apparently, and just one, I think 37, just went, fuck this. I mean, I want to know what happened to that guy for him
Aye,
to go.
man.
His wife must have been an absolute fucking banger, man. He just
Aye,
went, nah, I'm done.
I see, to be honest, mate, see, the older I get, off the grid kind of appeals to me more and more.
Aye. And that's where I'm going to be, mate. And
Gotta be writing
apart from what I've got to leave behind for now.
writing pantos in the cave.
Aye, aye.
Keeping it like
God, man. Mate, I've written in worse places, to be honest. So I went into that homeless shelter, and it was the first night, and they actually, like, I had nothing, mate. I had absolutely nothing. They had to give me a food parcel, a lot, because I had no money coming in. Oh, hit my mic. And I was feeling a bit, what word do I use when you've fallen so much and you go, what the fuck has happened to me?
Mm-hmm.
It was a,
like despair or something.
Aye,
Like that.
it was despair. It was just broken, really broken. And then the night shift worker came in, and it was a boy I was in the army with. And the first thing I went,
Right.
I was like, don't tell the boys, mate. Let me get back up on my feet, and then I'll tell them. And he's like, what the fuck do you think the boys are here for? He says, I'm not, because this is where I work. He was like, fuck's sake, mate. He says, don't be embarrassed. And then he come up to my room, sat for a bit on my first night, and to have a friendly face. and it was like being back in my single Peter at the army. So you get your own room in the army. You get in a room with maybe 2-3 guys, and if you're good and you've been there a while, they give you your own room, single Peter. I got my single Peter, lasted 3 days, slept in one of the days in the lab, take it off them, boom, gone, put back into another room. Aye, you've got to earn it. So I'd slept in because there was nobody around chapping doors. If you're in your single Peter, it's different. You're in sync and all that, but no, so being in that room was very much like it. And do you know what? I'm a big believer. I think my gran put me there to go, look what you had, you could have had, and look where your life was taking you. Humbled me, and it's like also humbled me because I hadn't spoken to this guy for the army in a while, and I was like, why haven't I kept in touch with them? You know what I mean? Why haven't I? Because a lot of the boys in the army I loved, but I just get that hang up of what happened and then the aftermath of it, because you think you've dealt with it, but you hadn't, because you're drinking your way through it all. You know what I mean? All that time, so you think, oh, I'm getting better, I'm getting better.
It's funny when you've hit your another low point that it's like such a potent reminder.
Aye.
Like that time, you know what I mean?
So just like a sign, seeing him there, and just reminded me, you know, don't forget where you came from, and I'll no forget this experience, mate. And like I say, this is if I don't catapult from here, I'll be really surprised. And I'm confident, you know what I mean, I'm quite self-deprecating at times, but this is it for me now. I really truly believe this is it for me. And like Des said, there's so many jobs I could be in the industry right now, and I get it. I would always be like, why have I not been cast in that? Why the fuck have I not been hired in that or this and that? It's probably because I was a liar. No, I would always do the work, mate, but I could be crab it with folk and quite snappy. Not aggressive. I've never been aggressive with like my co-workers and stuff, but I can be like, oh fuck's sake. Well, maybe swearing is aggressive. Maybe I'm aggressive and I don't realise it, mate. But I always see aggression as lashing out and punching somebody.
It's different to different people, isn't it? Like there was a couple of women in here.
Better camera on.
Oh, aye. There was a couple of women in here talking about, they'd made a documentary and about one of the women's family who had been like heroin and all, you know, working class and all this sort of stuff. And then the other woman that was there was like the director, and she was very much like privately educated, and they spoke a lot about how they had to really work with each other to communicate better, because for lack of a better term, the posh one was misinterpreting swearing and, you know, like sort of aggressive tone as aggression, whereas the working class one was like, that's just how we talk to each other. Like, it's like, I was watching a YouTube video the other night, it was Americans, and what were they talking about? They were talking about James Corden.
Oh, fuck.
So it was basically like,
did they hate him at all?
It was like a 45-minute video pointing out all of the shitty things that this cunt had done, right?
I'm watching that video, by the way, because see the stuff I've heard.
I made
it's meant to be an absolute wank.
He's supposed to be an absolute ball bag, but they were like going to Reddit feeds for stories. So you know, like Reddit, they do this Ask Me Anything. So like a famous person will open a Reddit account and be like, hi, I am James Corden, ask me anything.
Right.
And then they'll make maybe like a video of them answering the questions. And a lot of it was like, why, like, I met you in 2016, blah, 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 and explaining like why you such a massive ball bag. But what the C word was getting used a lot. And this American was like, why are they using the C word? And then they Googled it and they were like, all right, like British people, like for British people, cunt is like, you know, asshole.
Good cunt, bad cunt, wee cunt, small cunt. Aye, exactly.
We use it, and we can use it as a term in endearment as well, like good cunt.
aye, exactly. So we'll get to James Corden then, maybe another time. But
I'll tell you a story about one of the ones that I was actually like pure.
Tell us.
Wow.
Because I know he didn't have to apologise recently on his talk show.
He gave up his talk show. He's giving it up.
Is this because of this? Because some waiter or something, the way that he spoke to them.
Social media is just totally like cancelling the fuck out of him for being a dick, man. Like, so one in the Reddit feed was James Corden actually surprised me on a BA flight for London to Los Angeles. He was sitting in first class and he got himself in his seat and he got comfortable. And then this woman came in with like a crying baby, and she was like, in to her horror, she sat down next to James Corden. And we were like, oh God, because we know he's a diva. How is he going to react to this? And they were like, he just put his headphones in and just went to sleep, put his headphones in, put an eye mask down, and just went to sleep and left the woman to deal with the crying baby, which we were really surprised about. But then when but then we went back, and one of the other hosties realised that was his wife.
What? The whole flight?
Didn't he talk to the kid? Didn't he take the kid? Didn't he blah, blah, blah? And then when they were leaving the flight, they said that she was holding the baby and tried to get bags down for overhead, and turned around and said, "Gonna at least take your fucking child while I try and sort the bags." So they were surprised that he wasn't like, "Get this kid to fuck." And then they realised that was his own wife and kids, and he wasn't even speaking to them.
How could you? It's not knowing my makeup to be able to do something like that. It really is. The man, Jenky's the kind of dad that like he makes his Wayne watch Cats.
He said that he didn't even watch Cats, mate.
Because he was getting that much.
No, how bad it was. Have you ever seen it?
No, I want to, mate. I want to.
Mate,
just because it's so bad, especially the first cut that came out. Was it not the CGI was all?
I think it's
awful
supposed to be absolutely horrible, mate.
It goes down as the worst film ever made, apparently, in the modern era.
Rotten Tomatoes or whatever.
Was it not the same guy that did Les Mis, though?
That was fucking terrible as well.
Oh, I'm in a battle with you on that one.
But the movie version of Les Mis, oh, mate.
I hate all that. I loved it.
Oh, mate. I think it's because, like, remember, I grew up, like, my mom liked musicals, and we had, like, whatever VHS, and it was, like, a VHS of the stage show, and it was, like, the most famous cast, like, playing, is it Jean Valjean?
Jean Valjean, aye.
Aye, like, so I grew up watching that, and it would get put on maybe, like, a couple of times a year, and then when the movie came out, I was like, fuck, this is going to be good, and I just thought Hugh Jackman was so bad in it. Like,
Did you?
He's acting, obviously he's a fucking world-class actor. Just the singing and all that, I was just like, oh.
Could you see him as that role? Like, because it was singing, do you see him as like Wolverine?
I just thought his voice was fucking terrible. Just thought he was a bad singer.
Russell Crowe. I'll give you Russell Crowe.
Oh, Russell Crowe was
everyone saying he'd be like,
bad.
what was he? I will sing and shout at you.
Terrible, mate. I just thought that, they could have cast it a bit better.
Right. Well, I'm kind of going on, like, see the performance with her singing, I dreamed a dream of greeting, shaving her head and all that.
Aye.
I was pure and gross.
There's bits of it were fucking brilliant. I thought Anne Hathaway was fucking amazing. I thought she was amazing at it, but I just thought, and it's that pure old trope into it, like, Trainspotting the movie's not as good as it, but I just genuinely thought that Les Mis, the movie, was nowhere near as good as the stage show. And why date then?
What's your favourite musical? You into them?
Not really. I wouldn't say that I'm into musicals.
If you had to.
I've seen a few that I enjoyed. I get absolutely slated for saying that I enjoyed We Will Rock You.
How'd you get slated? Oh, because the critics, man.
Somebody was just like taking Queen's music and putting it to a Simon Cowell and not get that to fuck. And I was just like, no, I enjoyed it, and I went to see it in London.
Killer Queen and all that, and she's getting raised up on the platform.
The music's amazing, man.
That's brilliant, mate.
You can't go wrong, can you?
I was in
Shop
that.
of Horrors.
I was in that. I played the dentist.
Oh, did you? I was in
dentist,
that in a 6-year stage show at school, but I was Audrey too. I didn't have a speaking part. I was like in the fucking thing.
You were just
because I'm tall. I was inside the fucking
you were doing the voice.
The only reason that I got the part was because I was the only person
tall enough,
big enough to fill the thing that they got made.
God. It was my first ever big part. It was a youth theatre, but I was like, I think I was about 18 or something. And I would always get the bit parts, the wee funny parts, the stupid parts. I would make my own, and then I got this part as a dentist, and I remember.
I think it's the best part, mate.
It's amazing. I
think it's the best role in Little Shop of Horrors. I think Steve Martin's incredible in it, man. Like,
have you seen the original Little Shop of Horrors, the black and white?
No.
It's got the first performance of an actor, his first ever movie, right? And he plays the Bill Murray role, the one that's getting his teeth out, the sadist.
You're special.
Aye.
I'm going to tell my friends about you.
Do you know who plays that role in the original? And it was their first ever movie appearance.
Who?
Jack Nicholson.
Oh, I've heard that. I've heard that.
And it wasn't a musical, it was just like an actual, I think, sci-fi type alien coming down, turns into a plant, but he was the sadist. Is it sadist, if you like the pain?
Aye, I'd say so.
Or is that, no, sadist gives the pain, masochist.
Oh, is it?
Right, because remember when Bill Murray's like, that's it.
He's pure love it.
And Steve Martin hates it because he's like, I bet Steve Martin, absolutely brilliant. So you like
Little Shop of
Horrors,
Calamity Jane,
mate, brilliant.
I think because I don't know where I seen it, but I think again a school show Oliver Twist's a great fucking musical as well.
it is.
Sweeney Todd,
Fagin's a bit
bit of a pedo, isn't he?
you think about it, aye.
But they fucking cunts existed. Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, class. Absolute class.
So I do like musicals actually when I think about
but
it.
you like me, it's made like a jukebox musical thing we like. You know what I mean? Rocky
Horror Picture Show is one of my favourites, mate.
I won my school talent show doing Sweet Transvestite dressed as Dr. Frankenfurter, right?
Amazing.
So the biggest risk was, so the year before, I was at the youth theatre and that, I was a performer. So it was like, everyone's like, you need to get into the school talent show. I went, right, I'll do it. So I went in and went, what are you going to do? I went, I'm going to do this fucking singing kettle type vibe thing, right? And in my head, I was like, I'll get a kettle and that and I'll just riff, right? Fucking got on that stage and didn't know what it was like. Actually, mate, see, when I think about it, it's the most cringe thing I've ever done, right? I went on and I'm like, oh, welcome to the singing kettle, but and I started making stuff up and folk are like, what? And I started getting booed and all that. So that was
really
fucking walked off, mate. And I was like, oh. And even my teacher's going, what was that all about? What was that? So the next year, they weren't going to let me take part because I wasn't prepared. I thought I'd just turn up and just be a stand-up and use the singing kettle. Fucking still to this day. I must have just saw a kettle in my house and went, that'll do. Right, went up. So I bombed. So the next year I was like, most folk would have just gave up. That should have been the end of my acting career, mate, because it was so embarrassing. And I went, no, fuck this. I'm going back in next year. I'm going to do something big. And all year I was like, I'll try this song. And I remember even did this Boyzone song, Melting Pot, right? Yeah.
Right,
what we need is a great big melting pot. So I was like, maybe I should sing that. So I started doing this expressive dance in my living room and that. And I remember practicing that for weeks and going, what are you doing, man? What is it you're doing? And I thought, do you know what? I love the Rocky Horror Show. I'm going to do Sweet Transvestite. Got my art teacher to do all my amazing makeup. Come on with a cape and everything. And they're like, all right, we'll let you do it, but as long as it's a proper song, I went, aye. So it would just be a case of lights up in the talent show. Somebody would do their thing. But I went up the back, Mr. Burns, it was on the light. I went, Mr. Burns, see with this bit, see when I do this, boom, rack the lights up, boom, do this, like that. And he's like, right, okay. So I've come on, it's all done, and then I've just went, I'm just a sweet transvestite. And I'm talking about, what, 14? And all the school bullies and that are there, the assembly rooms packed with parents and students. And
I remember the talent shows at school, mate.
It was huge.
Sold out.
Ali McInally, that played with Bayern Munich and Celtic, was the guest judge. Right, he's the one that. So I remember I've done that and I went, came off, and I'm sure it was when Mr. West or something went, well, that was a risk. He says, I thought that was brilliant. He says, but you've got boys. So it came to
no,
it.
You don't half, mate. Fucking hell, man. Secondary school.
Mate, I had the basque, suspenders, full
Holy
regalia,
shit,
mate. And then they were introducing it, and I remember the three favourites, right? There was this guy, Paul Tonkinson, and he'd won it the year before, singing some song. He was brilliant. But this year he came in doing Let Me Entertain You, Robbie Williams. And he actually came with the spandex, the makeup was brilliant.
Right, okay.
And he smashed it, and I was like, right, he's going to win. And then there was lassies that did the Jackson 5. Now I want to get this video because I'm not sure if
blackface.
I'm not sure. And the lovely lassies.
And they were a different time one time.
Aye, but I know there was afros, but I don't know. But they were brilliant, right?
I'm sure somebody at my school talent show did like Alicia Keys. And they blacked up.
Aye. So I hope I've not opened a can of worms here for them. But see if anyone out there's got the talent show video, because we all got a copy of it. I lost mine. If anyone's got a copy of that, I'd love to see my performance, because I know somebody will. I would pay good money for it. So anyway, we were doing the intros and all that, and third place, the Jackson 5. And then I'm up the back, and it's like, no thinking. And I was like, shit, I want it third. I genuinely was like,
you thought I've got a good chance of getting third place.
Aye. And second place, like Paul Tonkinson or Tom, big Paul anyway. And I was like, then I just saw everyone turn
and look at me,
and I'm going, what? And my mate's going, it's going to be you. And I'm like, no. And Ali McInally goes, and the winner for sheer originality, bravery and talent, Chris Taylor. And I just remember the whole place going woof. And then me from a wee cape off and then running back to the stage, still with my stockings with that on. I took the mic and then sang it again, and everyone ran up, and it was just one of the best moments. And that was me went, there's no vanity in comedy, and don't be feared, because I'm scared. I'm still scared some to play parts or to put a sketch up and keep folk go, look at him, look at this, because I'm an actor, shouldn't be like that. But that kind of gave me the confidence to go on. So the year before could have broke me, but then I just kept going. So if you're young and you're watching this and you're a performer, you're going to have some tough times, man, but don't ever give up. If you're doing well and things don't go well for you, don't give up. If you hit rock fucking bottom, don't give up. because the only way is going to be up. It's happening to me right now. A couple of years ago, I was doing shows at the Armadillo, the Pavilion. I was writing for people, and then I lost it all. And it can happen like that. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you're being tested. All I will say, and I'll keep saying it, is never, ever fucking give up on your dreams if you believe in them.
Beautiful.
I think that's
What a beautiful way to wrap up, mate.
Okay.
Love that. And what a story that is, man.
You like, oh my, it's in my book, but I haven't really spoke about it.
Should reconstruct it, mate.
I can do a short story on it. Reconstruct
just
it again.
reconstruct it, mate. Aye.
Well, I was going to do it. I had the Jerry Taylor show in January, and that was the thing. I just had my own show, man. Mm-hmm. You style out show. I sang a Les Mis song, Master of the House, did it in character. I did Old Bamboo for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Male Bamboo, sang it, did the full dance. I'm a triple threat now, mate. Actor, singer, dancer.
Brilliant, mate.
So, where was I going with that? What did you say just before that?
You should bring it back. Bring back.
So I was going to do it in that show, but it was a family show, and I thought, is me doing Sweet Transvestite all right for kids? Because when I was doing it as a kid, you probably got away with it. But I'm a grown man in my youth theatre on the show, and I didn't want to see me cutting about with stockings.
No, I love that, mate. I love that story, and fucking like I said, what a way to wrap up the pod, mate. It's been good having you back.
It's been great, my man. And see you in another 6 months.
Yeah,
I'm only kidding. We'll keep going. See you all next time on Podcast WC.
La 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 la, this is my show. Jingle, jingle. Oh no, somebody said at the horn. Jingle, jingle, jingle. Just keep it in anyway, because I'm not paying for a music producer. Jingle, jingle. Here's another toot. Welcome to my show.